What if Rome never fell? What if instead of collapsing, the greatest empire the world had ever known simply packed its bags, crossed an entire ocean, and started over? This isn't just a story about survival, it's about rebirth. Welcome to a world where the United States of America wasn't founded by revolutionaries in powdered wigs, but by Roman legions in shining armor. A world where the eagle of the Republic never landed, because it was already soaring. Let's rewind the clock. At its peak, the Roman Empire was a marvel. Its influence stretched from the misty shores of Britain to the sun-scorched deserts of Egypt. Roman engineers built roads that are still used today, aqueducts that defied gravity, and cities that housed millions. They were masters of logistics, military strategy, and governance. But like all great empires, Rome faced its limits. Barbarian invasions, political instability, and economic decay began to eat away at its foundations. But what if, instead of just fighting a losing battle at home, a visionary emperor had looked west, beyond the Pillars of Hercules, and saw not an end, but a new beginning? For centuries, the Atlantic was a barrier, a terrifying void known as the Sea of Darkness. But the Romans were no strangers to epic sea voyages. Their galleys dominated the Mediterranean, and their merchants sailed as far as India. With their knowledge of shipbuilding, celestial navigation, and relentless ambition, a transatlantic voyage wasn't impossible, just incredibly daring. Imagine fleets of Roman triremes, modified for the harsh Atlantic, carrying not just soldiers but engineers, farmers, and scholars. They wouldn't have been searching for spices or gold, but for something far more valuable, a second chance. A new land to build a new Rome, free from the corruption and decay of the old world. Picture the scene. Roman legions, their iconic red shields and eagle standards gleaming in the American sun, disembarking on the shores of the new world. They don't arrive as desperate settlers huddled against the cold. They arrive as conquerors, organizers, and builders. Their first priority wouldn't be flimsy wooden forts, but sturdy stone walls, paved roads, and efficient supply lines. They'd survey the land, map its resources, and establish a network of military outposts that would quickly grow into bustling towns. The native tribes of North America, who had lived on the continent for millennia, would encounter a force unlike any they had ever seen. Not disorganized explorers, but a disciplined, professional army backed by the most sophisticated engineering machine in the world. Initial conflicts would be inevitable, but the Romans were also masters of assimilation. They didn't just conquer, they incorporated. They would recognize the strength and resilience of the native peoples, forming alliances, trading knowledge, and slowly integrating them into the fabric of their new society. In this alternate timeline, a new capital would rise, not on the banks of the Tiber, but perhaps on the Chesapeake Bay or the mouth of the Hudson River. Let's call it Nova Roma, New Rome. This city would be a testament to Roman ingenuity, a sprawling metropolis of marble and concrete. A grand forum would serve as the heart of public life, surrounded by temples dedicated to Jupiter, Mars, and Minerva. A massive colosseum would host gladiatorial games and chariot races, entertaining citizens from every walk of life. Latin would be the language of government, law, and commerce, spoken in the streets alongside dozens of indigenous dialects. Governance would be modeled on the Roman Republic, with a powerful senate composed of patricians, wealthy landowners, and perhaps even assimilated tribal chieftains. Roman law, with its emphasis on contracts, property rights, and due process, would provide the framework for a stable and prosperous society. This new civilization wouldn't be purely Roman, nor purely Native American. It would be a unique hybrid, a fusion of two worlds, creating a culture richer and more complex than either of its parents. Schools would teach the histories of both Caesar and the great tribal leaders. Roman public baths would stand near traditional native sweat lodges. It would be a society built on Roman foundations, but decorated with American artistry. The impact of Roman technology on the American continent would be staggering. The landscape would be transformed. A vast network of straight paved roads, built to last for centuries, would connect the Atlantic coast to the Great Lakes and the Mississippi River. These VA would allow for the rapid movement of armies, goods, and ideas, unifying the vast territory in a way that wouldn't happen in our timeline for another 1,000 years. Grand aqueducts would carry fresh water to burgeoning cities, enabling massive population growth and improving public health. The Romans were masters of concrete, and they would use it to build everything from soaring domes and graceful arches to sturdy bridges and deep water ports. Cities that in our world are known as New York, Chicago, or Boston would instead be called names like Novum Eboricum, Venturum Civitas, or Portus Apollonis, each boasting architecture that would rival ancient Rome itself. Public libraries, a Roman invention, would be established in every major city, making knowledge accessible and fostering a culture of literacy and learning across the vast new provinces. This Roman America, or Res Publica Occidentalis as they might call it, wouldn't exist in a vacuum. It would become a global superpower centuries before the United States of our timeline. With the immense resources of the Americas at its disposal, timber minerals, and fertile land, its economic power would be unrivaled. Its legions, now a mix of Roman descendants and fierce native warriors, would be the most formidable military force on the planet. By the time medieval Europe was just emerging from the Dark Ages, this new Roman power would be sending its fleets back across the Atlantic, not as conquerors but as traders, diplomats, and cultural titans. They would establish trade routes with the empires of China and India, creating a truly globalized world long before the age of sail. Imagine Roman ambassadors in the courts of European kings, speaking classical Latin and negotiating treaties that would reshape the balance of power. The old Roman Europe might have faded, but its spirit, reforged in the Americas, would now be influencing the entire globe, spreading its ideals of law, citizenship, and engineering to every corner of the known world. Flash forward to the modern day in this alternate reality. What would a Romanized United States look like now? Washington, D.C., or perhaps Capitolina, would be a city of breathtaking imperial grandeur. The Capitol building would likely be a massive domed structure reminiscent of the Pantheon. The White House might be a sprawling villa fit for an emperor or a consul. Latin wouldn't be a dead language. It would be the living tongue of politics, science, and everyday conversation. The American eagle would still be a symbol of power, but it would be the Aquila, the standard of the Roman legions. Our currency wouldn't feature presidents, but perhaps stylized profiles of great consuls or images of Roman gods. The Senate would still convene, its debates echoing the traditions of Cicero and Cato. The calendar, the alphabet, our legal system, all these Roman relics in our world would simply be the unbroken, living reality of theirs. The legacy wouldn't be something to be studied in history books, it would be the air they breathed. What if Rome had founded the United States? The world would undoubtedly be a more ordered, more unified, and perhaps a more disciplined place. The lines on our maps would be drawn differently, our histories written in another language, our skylines shaped by other hands. One empire, lost to time in our world, would have been reborn across an ocean, its legacy not just surviving, but thriving. History, of course, did not choose this path, but for a moment, imagination just did. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy exploring alternate histories like this, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more.